Thanks for being here, Dr. Michelle Hanna.
Thank you.
Would you say, like, at the core of your book, it's the idea that to have really great relationships with others, we must first have a great relationship with ourselves?
Oh, yeah, that is definitely the core. So, in the 7 vows that will change your life, I have an interesting spin on the traditional wedding vows. So, if you think about the traditional wedding vows, they really are at the core of just going through this journey that we call life. We all have had to deal with sickness at some point, whether it's ourselves or whether it's someone else, to sickness, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poor, and just your business and what you do, which I think is absolutely amazing. It speaks to the wealthy mindset, your relationship with money, your relationship with debt, to love and to cherish. Sometimes we don't even like ourselves, let alone love ourselves. So it really encourages you to spend time with you and stop running from the things that get on your nerves about you. Because if it gets on your nerves, then that means that it probably gets on everyone else's nerves as well, you know? So, yeah, and just really, one thing I want to say that we're living in a time where suicide is at an all-time high. And to death do I part. That means that I am going to stick it out no matter what. I am going to have my back no matter what. That I am going to ride this thing called life until the wheels fall off. And even if the wheels fall off, the whole car has got to, just totally fall apart, like I'm not giving up on me. And I think that even when it comes to finances, I tell people all the time, bet on you, invest in you, and then you can really have a fruitful relationship, especially getting into a relationship with another. So I'm sure all the single people that come to you, and taking your courses and your programs, it's about getting them together first, and then you can talk about partnering in a relationship or partnering even in a business relationship.
It's amazing how a lot of times what happens is once they actually have gotten their financial life in order, they start to actually have different relationships with people, whether it is a family member, like a parent, or if it's with actually finding love.
Yeah.
It's happened so many times.
Mhm.
And so tell me a little bit more about this idea, like in your book about the richer and poorer aspect. What is it that you really want to say to people on this particular subject when it comes to relationship with yourself?
So the first thing is that we need to face, just the things about ourselves that we don't really want to face or talk about. So let's say, for example, you have bad credit. So many people are embarrassed about bad credit. Like I had bad credit because, I'm a cancer survivor. I had like $90,000 worth of debt in terms of just, trying to live basically, and credit was really important to me. So I was just doing everything I could to pay those bills, but it was so difficult because they were just so I never had medical bills like that be that high, right? So I had to face that I was really embarrassed to even call and ask for help because I didn't want anybody to know that I had bad credit, because bad credit to me meant that I was a bad person or that I was irresponsible. And so that's the first thing, is that we got to face whatever it is that is not healthy about our financial state, our financial goals or lack of them, right? Or just basically our mindset, which is so important, is, do I really have a poverty mindset? Do I have a wealthy mindset? Because you could have a wealthy mindset and have like $5 in your pocket, but you know what? It's like in my mind, I'm a millionaire. You know what? And you are going to wheel that in. You're going to do your research. You're going to ask people that have more knowledge than you, and you're going to ask for help. Like, help me to be where you are, and even to, exceed that, right? So you first have to really look at yourself and just figure out who you are as it relates to finances. And then you have to figure out, like, what is your relationship with money? Like, do you just spend all your money when you get it? You pay your bills and you just spend the rest. You don't save, you don't pay yourself, you don't do any of that. So what is your relationship with money? Um, in terms of even how you look at savings. Some people have a savings and then the savings never lasts past 2 months because they keep draining the savings. And I really look at that like, look, you're robbing yourself. Okay. So if you have your savings, and your savings is meant for, if you break it up and itemize it, it's like, hey, this is my savings. Like, let's say that I have $20,000. Okay, now I have $5,000 that is for like emergencies, like, if something happens to my car, or maybe I have a medical emergency, so that money over there is for that. So savings to me is so important. I'm a big, big saver, but I have definitely had relationships in the past where they were a big, big spender. And, that conflict would be there because I'm like, how is it that you just keep spending and you don't save anything? You should have 1 year of your whatever you make in a year from your career. You should have 1 year, I believe, always saved up. So if something were to happen, like what we are in right now, the pandemic, right? Then that stress isn't so intense because I have that year of savings. And what I realize is that even with a lot of the couples that I coach, they don't have a year of savings. And singles really don't have a year of savings as it relates to what their salary is. So I talk about that in the book. I really dig deep into what your financial goals are. Where do you want to be, not only in 5 years, 10 years, but I even like to break it down in quarters. Like, where do you want to be in the next 90 days financially? Let's just start with that, because then it doesn't seem so overwhelming and it seems that it is attainable. So those are the things that I really do talk about. And there's just some of the basic stuff, like, do you have life insurance? Do you
Yes.
think it's even important to have life insurance? Do you have medical insurance? What are you going to do? Like, if something were to happen today, whether you are, quote, young or not, do you basically have, a will for where you want things, to go? So those are things that I think are very important, just on a very basic level of introducing yourself to the financial part of your life, the wealthy part of your life, or the poverty part of your life that you need to fix.
What do you say to couples who are like on completely different pages with their finances? Like, one is a spender, one is a saver, and one just doesn't even believe in like thinking about tomorrow, right? And one other person is like, no, we have to really set things out and have goals. What do you usually tell clients?
The first thing is, honestly, I always say you need to sit down with a financial coach. I don't, not that I have any issues at all with saying advisor, right? But coach has a different meaning, and it's more of, coaching is, I'm guiding you, I'm taking your hand, but your opinions and what you feel matters. Like, we're going to have a conversation where you and I are going to partner through this. So I definitely suggest that from the very beginning, especially for the couples that one is a spender, one is a saver, or maybe just one of them just does not see any reason why we should have life insurance. I mean, I'm healthy, you're healthy, we work out, it's all good, right? So for those couples, I really think the first thing is sit down with a financial coach. I am picky though about the financial coaches that I refer them to, because sometimes you can have financial coaches that may not be the most compassionate to the client. And the couples that I work with, they truly need compassion because they're already so emotional. So you can't really just make it about the numbers. You have to really make it about like knowing that person, getting to know that couple, and then going from there as to what's the best plan. Because sometimes couples don't even have a plan. They don't even have a plan for their relationship, let alone a plan for their finances and how they're going to connect. Um, just like anything in a relationship, we might be opposites on different areas of our relationship. But I think having a coach to come in and help you to have the tough conversations is very necessary. And that's why I was so attracted to you and what you were doing, because I can tell like you care. You really care about your clients, and you dive deeper into really knowing them instead of, okay, here's a plan, this is what you need to do, this is a list, of deadlines, and that's it, right? So maybe you're dealing with a couple that has like procrastination issues, so you got to really figure out, maybe they have a learning disability, maybe they learn different. So everybody is different, and sometimes when you start talking about numbers and financial goals, people just get scared,
Yeah.
and they're like, I
Yeah.
don't think I can do this.
Yeah. It triggers a lot of other things that, have gone on in your life,
Yeah.
especially from childhood.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of like what is going on right now with, the pandemic, this is like the perfect time to even talk about in sickness and in health,
Yeah.
right? And I think that like this is a very, it's a very sensitive subject, right? Because like, when we're not healthy, we can't really do a lot of the things that will bring us money. We'll be able to work or do any of the things that actually bring us a lot of joy. And then also when we're not healthy, we kind of give off this other energy to our partners as like we don't really need any, like it's very hard for us to actually be in a state of grace and ease, right?
Mhm.
And so what do you talk about in terms of managing that aspect?
So, I can speak from what I go through every day. Um, excuse me, I have a chronic illness called pudendal neuralgia. So I'm in pain, every day. And it is really difficult when you are hurting physically to be able to stay focused with even something that you really do love to do. The last thing you want to worry about is money, you know, and how you're going to even just pay for medical expenses, have a comfortable lifestyle to where you're not stressed about that stuff, Um, and I really think that first, we have to really make a commitment to taking care of self. So although I have, my spouse, right? He can only do so much because I have to do the necessary things that the doctors are telling me to do. I have to pay attention to my body when it says no more. You're done. Rest and just spoil yourself right now. Like, don't think of anything else, And I have a an obligation to do that to self first, right? And then in doing that and taking care of me, I can think more clearly about what the next steps are, right? So I know that for me, I'm a big person that is big on prevention. So I try to get in front of things that I could foresee being a problem. So when it comes to finances, if you don't wait to something that is traumatic happens, if something traumatic does happen, you will be prepared. So with this pandemic, right, it is so unpredictable. It makes you feel so uncertain. And we don't like to feel uncertain. That's the control part of us. We want to know,
Yes.
what's happening. And even those of us that really do um, stick to our plans and execute plans, this is one time that um, none of that has seemed to sometimes work some days for me going through this because it was just so emotional. But I am happy that because I have put a lot of things in place, I did not have the stress of money on top of all of that. So whereas like my husband, he had to take off on family leave because my anxiety went up when we started to go through all of this, which connects to my issue is with nerves, right? So once the nerve is elevated, it's tough to try to get that back down to a balance. So he had to take off on family leave, and if we weren't in a space where we've really uh, worked on a lot of prevention. You can't prevent everything, but we've done our due diligence the best we can. Um, we would have been really, really stressed out during this time, because family leave, it's not like you get paid, for family leave, once you use up your time off. So that's why it's so important too, in terms of to be educated about even different insurances.
Absolutely. And then speaking about emotional topics, like in the last couple of days, I think, just following the news and things that have been going on with George Floyd
Yeah.
and, even Chris Cooper in New York City, from the woman who accused him of um, attacking her,
Mhm.
and then all of the riots that's going on. I think it would be, remiss for me to not ask, like, what are your thoughts, and how are you approaching discussing these hard subjects of like um, of race relations and relationship with authority, relationship with our neighbors, and then ourselves in this situation.
When it comes to just the emotions being so intense and honestly all over the place, because people are scared too because of the rioting. I know it brings me back to when the Rodney King situation
Mhm.
happened. And, me and my mom were out when they started to set things on fire. And we were so terrified. We were just trying to get home and get safe. And, I remember just having emotions where you could understand both sides, you know what I mean? Because every cop is not a bad cop, and it's unfortunate that the ones that do abuse their power, and I think when it comes to emotions, I think you have to know when to set the boundary that enough is enough for you, meaning I cannot watch the news right now. It's just not good for me. You know, um, I know what's going on somewhat because I'll check in, but then I'll check right back out. And I have to bring myself to a place of calm. I may have to meditate longer. I may have to say a longer prayer, you know. I may have to do a little bit more self-care, which for me, it might just be really relaxing in a hot tub and just letting go all of the emotions that I have. But I think you have to do what's best for you. For example, I told my mom, I said, just stop, just stop watching the news right now. It's not good for you. You're so, like, she was just in tears. And I said, this is not working for you. And it's okay. You know, you just have to do what's best for you. Um,
Mm.
I think you have to take every precaution, you know, maybe when you do have children, you know, and take precaution for yourself. But at that point, once you've done all you can do, you really do just have to release it and let it go, you know, um, and try your best not to let the anger start to fester and get stuck within you, because we are all disappointed in what happened. And honestly, yes, when I first saw it, I was angry, you know, at what I saw. But then I knew that that wasn't good for me. And anger is not healthy when it starts to fester, you know. And one thing I just would like to share with you and your audience is that, full transparency, when I feel anger, whether it's I have to go in my car, you know, or go in the bathroom, and I give that anger the best 5 minutes that I can give to that anger. Now, sometimes I may have a little bit of colorful language. Sometimes I may have tears. Sometimes I may have to scream, you know, but 5 minutes, that's it. And after that 5 minutes, I then start to connect to joy, gratitude, and I infuse that anger with the positivity. And I double it, and sometimes I have to triple it. So instead of, you know, 5 minutes, I double it to 10 minutes. And then sometimes I have to go 20 minutes with that positivity, because maybe it's something I'm very much so emotional about.
Mhm. And I mean, you're a therapist, you're also a coach, so you have a lot of tools that, you know how to do. And what about for someone who doesn't have any tools, right? And how does somebody who doesn't have any tools to actually allow themselves to be able to take that time to not allow the anger to fester, because it's challenging, right? Because there is a very real reason to actually be angry,
Mm-hmm,
right now.
mm-hmm.
And I think that we are all feeling that for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. I think that there are stages of anger, you know? So, like I was telling you about the 5 minutes that I give that anger everything I got, and then I have to infuse it with positivity. I'm not suggesting that I may have to do that 5 times in one day, depending on how intense the anger is about something, or it having different legs to it, because you could think of one part of it and then you're like, okay, I infuse that with positivity and I let it go. But even as I hear the helicopters, you know, flying, it is something that I can't control. So I can even feel in this moment that there's a little bit anxiety there, because I'm connecting to what has happened. So I know that after this call, I'm going to really have to do some self-care. So for a person that maybe they're not even, maybe they don't even know what self-care is, maybe they're not even used to even doing that, I would say the first thing is really getting clear what you're angry about. And then also, because you got to acknowledge it. And then you have to give yourself permission to feel that way. It really is okay, because that is your feeling. And you know what? You have a right to feel how you feel. But then I think you have to then ask yourself, what could make me feel better just in this moment? What could I do to make me feel better? That's when the self-care comes in. I didn't say to fix it. I didn't say to completely resolve it. I said to make me feel better. Because if you continue to keep doing that, slowly but surely, you will start to feel balanced. Now, everybody's different in what that process looks like.
Mhm.
But I think that, taking it step by step is really important. And honestly, just acknowledging what you feel, because I think sometimes we'll say, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't get this angry. I shouldn't get this stressed out. Or we go to the other extreme. I'm angry, and so I'm going to act out. I don't care how it comes out. I don't care who it hurts because I'm hurt, right? But that doesn't really solve anything.
Mm-mm.
I think if we,
Yeah, one extreme is not the best solution. The other,
yes,
like one extreme is the looting that's been happening, right? And that kind of stuff. And then the other extreme is to kind of bottle it all up and say, no, it's not, it's not in my right to be angry, and I don't, I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm, like a good girl or even a good boy is,
mhm, mhm,
should not be an angry, person, right? So we
right,
bottle that up when in fact, actually unleashing our anger can be a healthy thing if we're doing it in a way that, like you were saying, like, taking that time to just like go off by yourself and,
mhm.
you know, curse and cry and hit some pillows, right?
Yeah, just to get it out. And something that I would suggest as well is that I feel like today I do need to talk about this, because there are some things that I'm feeling. There are some things that are being triggered, and that I'm really hurt about seeing all of this, because, small businesses, we really work hard, and it's a special kind of person, to really keep focused, when having a small business. So um, I feel really sad for those businesses out there that didn't do anything, and that the looting is happening to those small businesses, um, that on top of going through this pandemic, where maybe they got a loan, to help them stay afloat. And now they have a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And all they did was show up to basically, because maybe that's their purpose. And all they did was show up to live their purpose. And then now they have a whole nother situation to deal with. So my heart is really heavy, for that. And I am going to have to, like I was saying, to find someone that you can talk
Mhm.
um, to just where there's no judgment,
Mhm.
and you can just really say what you're feeling, and don't have to be judged for why you feel the way you feel, but you can get it out.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like right now is actually the best time to talk to a therapist, to talk to a coach, talk to somebody who can really help you process through some of those emotions.
Yes, absolutely. I think that too, one thing I'd like to say about that, because I've heard a lot of people say, I can't afford at this point, any type of coaching, any type of therapy sessions, and I get that. I do get that. But I have tried to definitely, have a program that is just in terms of respect for what people are going through COVID. I've developed just a grant, for people that have really been affected, through COVID. So I'm helping, in the best way that I know how, because I know that it is so important for people to get that self-help. It's so needed, because you got to have some place to get it out, and somebody to talk to. And just even for what you're doing, people need a place to come to just be open about where they are. And no matter how, I always say this, is that, you know, the word mess is in message.
Mm.
So no matter how big the mess, right? There's still a powerful message in that mess. And so your clients may come to you, or potential clients that's like, I'm a mess. My finances are a mess. The way that me and my husband talk about um, finances is a mess. The way we deal with it is a mess. But you are part of that bigger message, that can really just help them to see that their mess can become a powerful message, not only to themselves, but they can help other people in how they did it, how they came out of their financial mess.
Mm. That's that's beautiful. I mean, I think that's what your book is also very helpful for. For those of you who say, I can't afford therapy, I can't afford coaching. Also, books like yours that really helps you to process through what you're feeling, and also the things that you may have gone through, right?
Mhm.
To actually learn more about yourself to get to that other side, to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the more that we're helping ourselves, the more
Mhm.
that we can actually help others.
Oh, absolutely. The more we evolve, it's like, that's why I tell my clients all the time, trust me, you want me to evolve more and more and more and more. So I can give that, back to you. And you're right. It's like, people that get the self vows, it's not me in person, but you can hear my voice echoed throughout that entire book, So it's almost like having me in a book, virtually. And so I've heard that people make up in their mind like how I'm saying things. It's not always true, but yeah, so it's almost like, look, spend $17.99, $20, like people spend that on McDonald's,
Mhm.
and get the book. If you really just can't, sometimes you can't even commit. Maybe you're not ready to commit to coming in and speaking to someone and really committing to the process. So the book is kind of like, a trial run, and say, okay, I could do this, and then maybe the second step is actually sitting down and speaking with someone.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, anything else that you would like to add about the book, about, anything else that we're going through?
Yeah, people need something right now to feel that there's a transformation in their life. They need something to help them with this transition. Um, and I think that, or I know that the book will definitely help you do that. But greater than that, here's what I really want to leave you with. Yes, it's uncomfortable what we are going through, and it's horrible on so many levels. But on the other side of that, we have had some time to really pause and to really think about life, to get more comfortable with self, to learn self, to find some things about yourself that you just did not know. Or maybe people have been telling you something for years and you're like, that's not me. And then we've spent some time with ourselves over this time of pause, and you're like, oh my God, that is me. And so the pause actually has been a beautiful thing, surrendering to the process, because this is a process, and we're at different phases in this process. Has not been an easy thing. It's been a challenge, but it's also stretched us to be better. and to dig deeper and to actually get closer, to call some people that we haven't talked to in a while, to get out of texting and say, let's get on a Zoom. I want to see you. You want to see me. I want to see, are you really okay? Because, how you doing? Fine, but we really don't know, but you can tell through a person's face, through their body language, are you really doing okay? And to actually care. And then lastly, the reset. This is a time that we actually get to have a do-over. We can literally wake up every morning and have a do-over. But this is it. We literally got the reset button. And we literally can press it and reset everything, So I think that's wonderful. Even with the finances. Oh my gosh, people need to really reach out to you because this is it. This is the time that you could actually reset your finances. The old financial mess is gone. You could literally say goodbye to that and start anew and have a whole do-over. And actually, you could have the life that you want. So if you want to be financially wealthy, healthy, more excited and confident about your finances, you can do that. You just gotta basically like lean in and surrender to the process and just go ahead and reset. And lastly, even if you're in a marriage that is uncomfortable or you are looking at it as, oh, this is a bad marriage. Now, I'm not talking about abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you guys are just going through things that relationships go through, right? You can even reset that and say goodbye to the old marriage. You don't have to be stuck. You can move forward and you could have a whole new marriage, and just say, let's reset. Let's do this again, You can say your own vows again, renew them in your living room, wherever you are. You don't have to do a big to do about it. You could do that right there where you are.
Absolutely. And get this book because
Yes.
both partners should be reading this book and really being able to reset in that same way. Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle Hanna. It's such a pleasure. You are such a light in this world. And I really, really have loved getting to know you, getting to know your book, and, sharing your work with the world.